Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Silva Salsabila. I am the Lasker Communication and Business Institute Indonesia student under the supervision of Mr. Charles Banasi Rait as my mentor and lecturer. I'm here today to talk to you about a climate change issue that is very important for the sustainable world. Beforehand, let me say Happy International Day. A day is annual event celebrated around the world on April 22 to show support for environmental protection. First celebrated in 1970, it now includes the event in more than 193 countries. With Earth Day, let's take real action to protect our Earth by doing positive things to reduce and slow down climate change in order to reduce gas emission in the air. And I hope that people around the world will have more awareness to change the current climate has devastating impact on our lives now and in the future. The level of carbon dioxide in our atmosphere has increased every year, and this year there is a 95% chance that human activity is the cause, such as the burning of fossil fuels such as excess oil and coal, which causes increased CO2, which is used to power our homes, factories, airplanes, and cars. In addition, the global population has tripled in the last 70 years, and we consume more and more animal products, which eventually release another pollutant called methane. So all those gases that we use is released into the air, and then when sunlight gets into the Earth's atmosphere, some of the heat gets trapped, and which eventually the planet gets warm, which is why it's called the greenhouse effect. In addition, the process of climate change occurs when sea level are rising about 3 mm a year, because the weather expands as the temperatures get warmer. Then, because the temperature got warmer, causing the melt ice sheets and the Arctic glacier to melt, which eventually added trillions of tons of fresh water into our oceans. So the entire coastal cities could be underwater within 18 years, and all humans around the world could lose their home. And if things carry on, millions more of us to pack up. The existence of the Paris Agreement is to the limit temperature rising by 1.5 degrees or a maximum of 2 degrees before 2100. So countries set their own target on how much CO2 they emit. The heat from human emission is roughly the same as the 400,000 Hiroshima atomic bombs that explode across the planet every day. If emissions continue to the increasingly uncontrollably, climate catastrophe will occur, such as sending millions of refugees across borders, causing the severe existence of most species on Earth, and melting the ice sheet at the North Pole, leaving most of the world's coastal cities several meters underwater. But something like a sudden collapse of a farm can create chaos in a society, and its effect can be felt directly. The real impact of climate change is that failing food production causes food prices to rise more expensive, and billions of hunger accelerate, and extreme hunger causes chaos, and the melting of Antarctic and the ice sheet leading to the rapidly rising sea will causes some of us to live or big cities. The emission we are releasing today could unwittingly building the underwater metropolis city that we are today. The increase in emission itself is about 80 to 160 feet. In emission are not controlled, all the ice in the Arctic will melt and sea levels will rise faster. The scientists predict the rising sea levels sometimes reach 1 foot per decade, so we have to adapt to changing the coastline as quickly as possible, because the most important evidence is learned from past climatic conditions, which clearly show that every time the amount of carbon dioxide in the air increases, then the earth warms up, the ice melts, the sea level rises. Scientists have published strong evidence that warming is making drought and heat waves more frequent, causing heavier rainstorms and more severe coastal flooding. There are some countries are making progress that have done different things to reduce climate change. For example, making all public transportation free in cities. Then, such as India, Morocco, and the Gambia have massive renewable energy projects. But scientists say that what is needed now is greater push-up to change everything about how to slow climate change. Therefore, what we can do for climate change is that we can act together and starting reducing emission level quickly by using all available tools and doing disposal, switching to renewable energy, and reducing our carbon footprint by doing things like installing leaks in home insulation, installing smart thermostat, getting on public transport, using bicycle, reducing airplane travel, buying electricity, installing solar panel, and consuming less meat. In addition, we can use our rights as citizens to able to contribute to demand political leaders to tackle climate change in a way that we can speak collectively together through strong state and national policies to make a big impact. Countries around the world agree that climate change is the biggest problem and every country is ready to take decisions and actions. And leading companies will continue to make bold promises to use low-emission technologies. As ordinary people, we can continue to demand political leaders to take climate change. In conclusion, to reduce climate change, we can do simple things, first starting from the environment around us, and of course we have to do it from the heart, because otherwise we will find it difficult to start, and we will not realize that this climate change has a significant impact. So